back to another episode of the Let's Be Real podcast. This is episode 4, and it's crazy that we're already here. But today we're going to be doing relationships part 2. And I'm really excited because last week we did relationships part 1, and we talked about friendships, which was super good conversation. So if you want to hear us talk a little bit more specifically on friendships, go to that episode.
Yeah.
But yesterday we put out a questionnaire on our Instagram, so go follow us there at Let's Be Real podcast. And we asked you guys to ask us some questions about relationships. And we had a lot of you reply to us, which was super encouraging. And there's so many good questions on here.
They are, yeah.
So I'm excited to jump into them.
Yeah, so what's the first question?
So the first question here is, how do you set boundaries? Super straightforward, great question.
Yeah, greatest questions are always the hardest ones to answer.
Definitely.
But, well, through communication is a lot of it, because if you're very rough with the communication when you set the boundaries, like, if, for example, Emma came up to me and went, hey, I don't like this, so if you don't stop doing this, then we won't be friends.
Yep.
That drifts into the manipulation zone of a relationship.
Yeah.
So we don't want that.
And then you feel like you're, like, you owe me, and that the only way that you're going to keep our friendship is if you do what I want. So you definitely, like, when you're setting boundaries, it's going to go way better if you come to the conversation, if you start the conversation with honestly just saying it nicely.
Yeah. And also being, like, because you have a relationship, after all, even if it's not the best one, you do have one, and it's good to try to maintain that one. So if you identify yourself in a toxic relationship, don't eliminate it first. Try to fix it, I guess. Or, try to communicate to each other. And who knows, maybe you become the best of friends in the future, or
Maybe you don't.
maybe you don't. But then,
if you're having a relationship with someone and you feel like something's happening that shouldn't be happening, and you want to talk to them about it, and you come into it, like Millie said, rough and mean and just not saying anything nicely, what's probably going to happen is, in the end, the relationship might not always work out.
Yeah.
But if you actually come into it nicely and show them that you care about them, because if you want to keep the relationship, it's healthy to set boundaries, but also the way you say it is important. Because if I come to Melly and I tell her, hey, like, I've noticed, like, that we've had a little bit of a hard time lately, like, how's your heart doing, like, can we maybe work on this a little bit more? I know that this is something that we can both work on for sure, because I care about this friendship and I want it to work.
Exactly, yeah, and they'll see that if you step into that zone, these are really hard to set boundaries. So if they see you taking that step, who knows? Maybe you'll discover that you had something in your friendship that you never would have thought that you had in a million years. So, and it also comes up to personal preference. So, it's always about a particular situation. So, always be aware of your surroundings.
For sure.
What's the next question?
The next question is, how do I communicate well? Or actually, it said, sometimes I hate to communicate. What should I do?
Ooh, yeah.
That's so real. I hate communicating too.
Me
Who even
too.
likes
it's
communicating?
the hardest thing to communicate.
Who likes to go to your friend and be like, hey, what you're doing is actually hurting me and we need to talk about it? Like, that is the scariest thing. If anything scares me, it is that. Because I will avoid it.
Because that leads to confrontation.
Exactly. It is
sometimes. It leads to confrontation sometimes. It always depends, on the person that you're talking to and the relationship you have. But yeah, we all have that fear of man a little bit in us. Yeah.
Well, because it's like coming to this person and there's always these thoughts running through your head. Like, are they going to be mad at me? Are they still going to want to be like, is it going to be awkward after? Is it going to be different?
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to work? And it's easier to just not say anything.
Exactly.
And then just, like,
there's
let
that
it be.
fear of unknown.
Yeah.
And you better stay, a lot of us would rather stay in the comfort zone, even though it's not necessarily the most comfortable. It's better than not knowing what will happen for.
Yeah.
So, but don't do that.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Communicate as much as possible.
Yeah.
Communication is very important for any relationship, because if, for example, me and Emma didn't communicate, probably would not have had this podcast.
Definitely.
And communication leads to so many good stuff. And if you learn how to communicate slowly, you'll learn how to set boundaries.
Exactly.
So,
and like we said on setting boundaries, the way you go into it is going to change
yeah,
what happens when you come out of it. Like,
absolutely.
the way you say things, and like your words have power. So when you say, the way you say things is going to change how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're communicating with someone. It doesn't have to be a big, like, ordeal where, like, you're just yelling at each other or arguing. Like, just tell them how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which sounds so easy, but
It's not. It's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Because we all have this, like, reflex or something that when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, how are you? How you doing? We always say, I'm good.
I'm good, yeah.
I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and our youth leader, Adriana, she gave us homework.
She made us write an essay.
Yeah, about, like, what does fine or okay, being okay, mean for each and every one of us. And
Yeah.
it was so interesting because once you start writing, and this is what I really suggest to everybody, start journaling. It really helps me process a bunch of stuff. Like, not necessarily dear journal, this is what happened
Dear
today.
diary.
Yeah, or whatever.
The juicy gossip at school.
Like, just, if you have a thought, write it down on paper.
Yeah.
Or if you're not the writing down on paper type of person, put it in a song if you're more artistic. Or paint it. Or
Exactly.
take a photo that represents that thought. Or just learn how to express that and how to process it.
Yeah.
Because it's
And once
such a good way.
Once you process what's happening, especially like when you want to communicate with someone and you have some stuff happening in your heart, you can process it by yourself. And then when you go and talk to them about it, it's going to go a lot better.
Exactly.
Because it's not just like random thoughts in your head. It's like, it's something that you process. You know what's happening. You know how you're feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you process it with Jesus.
Yeah.
And you hear what he said about it. And
you know how to address the situation a lot better. And you come a little more prepared. So that, always do that. I don't remember what I was talking about before that. But
I think what we just say is, we know communication is hard and it's so not fun and awkward, but I promise you, when you do it,
it's the best feeling
right
after.
way, it's great. You feel so much better and relieved.
I had a situation like this. Like, my friendship with someone was literally, like, we were kind of avoiding each other at one point, and we did not have, because we've been friends for, like, forever, and we just stopped communicating, and each of us was going through something, but we didn't want to admit it to the other person. So we were practically lying to each other's faces, like, straight up. And, you know, I started to feel it, and we both got hurt by the end of it, and I was like, okay, this has to change. So 2 days I sat in my room and I prayed. I didn't necessarily pray. I talked to Jesus. 'Cause, like, man. And then, you know, I finally built up the courage to go to her and say, I texted her and said, hey, let's meet up. I want to talk about a few things. And, like, that's a scary message to get.
Yeah,
like, it's so scary. So after I sent it, I was like, ooh, that's maybe a little scary. You might be intimidated. But, you know, everything was fine. Like, after that, we have a stronger, like, friendship than ever.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, right now, I know I need to have a communication with someone. I know I do. And I'm so scared.
Aw.
I'm so scared, guys. But I know that I want to do it. And it could go bad and it could go good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But it is scary. But we really encourage you to go for it and come at it with what God said on it. Come at it with great attitude. Come at it with
kindness.
Kindness, exactly. Kill them with kindness, y'all.
Whoa. Facts. Next question.
Someone asked, well, they didn't really ask, but they touched on how do I put this into a question? It says they are two-way work.
Ooh.
Which I think what they're going for is that maybe we can just talk a little bit about how in relationships it goes both ways.
Yeah,
and you can't have a relationship
that's
one side.
a really good one.
This is a good one.
It is a good one.
I don't know if anybody else relates to this, but I'm the type of person that, like, I always text first. It's always me. I never like.
You're right. You are always the one that texts first. Very rarely I text you first.
I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
But like if I text you first and I'm not getting anything from you and like I'm not like the difference with us is that I text you and you talk to me and we're excited to hang out.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like I just give.
Yeah.
But like when I text someone and they don't really care and they just kind of, oh, do you want to hang out? Like, I don't know, like, okay, like,
maybe.
Bye.
Yeah.
It's so hard having relationships, friendships, like, whatever it is, it's so hard having one-sided relationships. And you know what? Here's the secret.
Communication.
You can't have one-sided relationships.
Exactly.
You cannot. It does not work.
No.
I've tried, and there has been, it's so funny. Even moving, there was like the people that were like, you know, the real ones will stay. And it's like, I texted you and you don't care. No, but seriously, guys.
So, yeah. See, that's so hard for me to relate to that because I'm an introvert. So, I
don't text first.
Don't text first. Ever. Like, very rarely I text first. And even when I do, it's a quick text message. I'm like, I just want to get it over with. Like, I don't want, like, this is so hard for me, you know?
Yeah.
So, I never text first, but I can. So, if you are an introvert like me, this is where you can improve. If you know that you are not giving your friends the right attention, start doing that. And maybe sometimes, I know it's out of the comfort zone, but it's good to step out of the comfort zone. Sometimes, like twice a week, you text first and go, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? I heard that your concert went really well or whatever. Or like your school project went really well. Tell me more about that. Or, you know, let's hang out sometime. Even though us introverts don't tend to do that, it is good because that, you know, balances out the friendship and it's really good.
So, like, me being the type of person that usually makes the first, like, initial response, I do not mind.
Right.
I like texting people. I like texting people first. But if you don't give me a sign that you actually want to talk to me and you want to hang out with me.
If you don't give me the same vibe,
exactly.
Bro,
you got to give me those vibes. Gen Z. I'm probably not going to keep texting you and we're probably going to stop talking.
Yeah.
And then we're just never going to hang out.
And if you are an introvert and you just didn't know how to react to this type of situation, communication is key there. Like, all these kind of tie together because you can't have a friendship without boundaries. You can't have a friendship without communication. You can't have a friendship if it's a two-sided relationship.
Yeah.
You can't have a friendship if it doesn't come from both ways. Because then you will either be the one that's superior in the relationship and you'll always be looking down on the other one, or you'll be the scrawny one that always looks up on the other one.
Yeah.
So you have to find the balance. And
you
can only do that through boundaries and communication.
Yeah. I have a friend who just went through, he had to break up with his girlfriend and he was having a really hard time with it. And he did it really well. I was really proud of him, but it's really hard because he felt like there was only one of them was wanting it and the other person wasn't, which is hard. And I completely understand what he was going through because I've been in that situation before.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like you want to still be friends with this person, but nothing is coming from them.
Right,
so it's like, okay, I'll be here. Let me know.
Yeah.
And if not, it's okay because it's okay. So,
yeah, that's a good one.
That was a very jumbled response, but
it's okay. No, it's pretty good.
You got something.
Okay, next question. What else do we got?
We have. Let's see here. In your experience, what does a healthy relationship look like?
Ooh, one where you're free to communicate.
Definitely.
One where like you guys know each other's weaknesses and don't. Like, for example, if Emma knows that I don't like, or let's just say I struggle with something in the past, and Emma knows that, she won't make a joke about it, even though it's a friendly joke. She knows that that's such a sore point for me that she won't make a joke about it, and that comes through communication, and through setting boundaries. And like, if by accident, because we're human, we sometimes do accidents. If by accident a person comes up to you, and like a friend of yours comes up to you and does a bad joke about your past or something that you don't like or something, and you get hurt, they might not realize that unless you tell them and say, hey, this really affected me, and it's something I struggle with.
And a real friend that would answer that question back with, oh my word, I'm so sorry, I did not know that. They wouldn't be like, oh, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, why do you even care
why
about that?
Why did you get offended?
I was joking, you know what I mean?
See, exactly. That is the type of relationship you don't kind of want. So that's where a good friend comes up and says, yeah, I'm sorry I said that. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Even if you don't understand why it hurt them.
Yeah, just...
Even if you don't get why it hurt them, or like what you said.
For their sake.
You cannot fathom what you hurt them, because maybe what you said wasn't hurtful to you, if they said it to you, but it was hurtful to them. And a good friend will say, oh my word, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm really sorry I said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you won't push the subject further. Like, if it's a very sore subject, like something that happened in your past or whatever, you won't push it forward, like, to find out more about it. The person has to feel free to say it to you.
Yeah.
But the person that, like, if you have a friend that has stuck with you so long, you probably should tell them.
Yeah.
Because that creates a bond of trust, and it comes from both sides.
And communication is out of love.
Yes.
Because when you're scared to communicate with someone is honestly like, I have been scared to communicate with Melanie because I love her so much, and I do not want anything that I say to, I don't want to say jeopardize it, but like it's nerve-wracking when you have communication with someone, because you don't know how they're going to react and if it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So I think if you really care about them, you should communicate, and if they really care about you,
they'll probably accept you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And accept your boundaries. So that's good. What other questions do we have?
We have about like one more question I think we can touch on. Shout out to Rebecca. She asks, what does God say about relationships?
This is such a good one.
Piano music.
I like this question a lot because it's such a nice question. Like, it is hard, but it's such a nice question because you can easily, like, find examples in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, so easily. Like, Genesis, dude. Like, that's how easy it is.
There was Adam and then there was Eve.
Exactly. So, God's opinion on relationships, he literally gave Adam a partner. Like, even though Adam had a great relationship with God, God gave Adam another person to actually have a human relationship with.
Yeah.
And if you don't get what that means, then here you go. God loves relationships.
Yeah, God loves connection.
God loves connection. That's such a good word placement.
Yeah.
Good job. And of course, God loves to have a relationship with us. He loves connecting with us directly, And sometimes he'll connect with you through another person by building a relationship, bringing
God
you another
totally
person.
speaks through people.
Absolutely.
For you, because sometimes you're just not hearing it and you feel lonely, and someone comes up to you and they start telling you stuff, and it's like, wow, that was really from God.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've had that happen so many times.
So.
And he sees when you're lonely. I think I didn't realize this until like maybe a couple of years ago. I didn't realize that.
Sorry.
You good?
Keep going. Yeah.
I didn't realize that God actually saw that I'm lonely, and he actually cares that I feel like there was a time in my life where I felt like I didn't have any friends. And it was really hard for me because I was always like asking for people like come over and like come hang out with me. Like I wanted friends, I wanted connection, but I wasn't really feeling it from anyone. And I prayed. I was sitting in my bed crying because I didn't have any friends. And I was just going through it. And I was like, God, I need you to give me some friends.
Yeah.
And then like maybe the next week, maybe a week or two after, I felt like I had a good 3 friends.
Nice.
I started connecting with these 3 people that I never would have thought I would have connected with, that I'd never even considered being friends with.
Yeah.
And it was like, those are the people.
Nice.
So I think God loves relationships. He loves you for you to have connection. And if you're feeling lonely, ask him for friends because he wants to give them to you.
Yeah.
And he's always going to be your friend. And when people say God's always your friend, you're never alone, it's so true. But he also wants you to have friends, and he wants to give you friends. And he wants you to have healthy connection with people, because friendships are great, relationships are great, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is pretty much what we had in mind for this episode. We have a big announcement though.
We do. Are you ready?
The next episodes. Wait, no, because that's gonna really spike the camera. Let's do it on our lap. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Alright, guys.
We have a new series coming up.
We do. We have a series, and it's gonna be called
Creativity.
We're so excited.
Yes, we'll be having a bunch of guests.
Yeah.
Guest stars, if we can call them that. We'll have them on. This is gonna be like a 4-episode type of series.
Yep.
So we'll have a new person each episode.
Yeah.
And we'll really be touching base on how we can worship God through our talents and through our creativity. And
I'm really excited for you guys. We have
Yes.
some amazing guests coming, and you guys are gonna hear all about what they do. And they're super talented. They're super creative, and it's gonna be awesome.
it is gonna be awesome.
So next week.
Yeah, next it will start. So stay tuned. Also, I said this in our Instagram story, but I also want to say it here. There has been a problem with our Spotify, and there's 2 accounts on it. So make sure to go on our Instagram bio and go on our Spotify link that's there, because Spotify created 2 accounts for some reason. But
so basically, if you're looking on Spotify, and you look at the Let's Be Real podcast, the Let's Be Real podcast that pops up without an apostrophe is not the
good
correct one.
Yeah, don't.
We
go
had
on
to
that
create
one.
2 because Spotify was being
Weird.
a butt, and so the correct here it is. The correct Let's Be Real podcast is the one with the apostrophe. And it's in our bio. So if you just want to get the link for that, it's in our bio, so go check it out.
It's also the one that has 3 episodes and not just 1.
Yes.
So just so you guys know. So yeah, this was our episode for the day.
So fun.
We
are.
Yeah, we had really good questions. We encourage you guys to keep asking questions on Instagram.
DM us.
Yeah, on our Instagram stories. So yeah, we really like when we get response from you guys. So see you guys next time.
Bye.